And what's on your mind when you head to a baseball game? Peanuts or Cracker Jacks, batting order, who's on first? Or are you thinking about the possibility of getting hurt? The man you're about to meet sure wasn't when he went to a ballpark, and he argues many of you probably aren't either. That is until the unthinkable happens. ABC 10's Michael Anthony Adams brings us his story.
I was very independent before. Now I do what my arm allows me to do. If it's hurting or I can't lift anything, then I have to ask people to help me. For me, that's hard.
If you've ever gone to a sporting event where something's being hurled through the air, there's a reasonable expectation that that something could come careening into the stands and hit you.
But what happens when you're hit not by a hockey puck or a baseball, but a piece of the venue itself?
I instantly thought because I had turned to my right away from the field that I got hit by a baseball.
But it wasn't a baseball. It was a metal sign the River Cats minor league baseball team uses to mark strikes on their strikeout board, according to a recent lawsuit filed against the ball club.
My body started feeling like I was going to pass out. I was going into shock. And I just closed my eyes, and my wife, I think, asked me, "Do you need help?" and called for help. And then they came and picked me up and took me to the first aid station.
2 years ago, Witten and his family were enjoying a River Cats game, one of the last of the regular season. Witten had recently retired from his job as a corrections officer, and the game was an excuse to get him out of the house and enjoy his favorite pastime. But the day was cut short when he was hit on the back of the neck by a falling metal sign, pinching cervical discs in his spine, according to the lawsuit.
I think I was more in shock than anything because I didn't know what hit me, and then when I found out it was a sign, it was just, it's something I didn't expect to get hit by.
So what responsibilities do club owners, such as Susan Savage, owner of the River Cats, have when it comes to patron safety at their games? I sat down with John O'Brien, a personal injury attorney unaffiliated with Witten's case, to find out where the law stands on the issue.
Over time, the law has evolved to really protect the sports, the owners, the facilities. That is so because the law is trying to promote participation in the recreational activities.
O'Brien says owners have started taking the additional protection by putting disclaimers and waivers in the backs of their tickets, but that the practice really doesn't amount to much at a court of law.
In order to expressly waive liability, the person has to make a knowing and intelligent waiver. Just including it on the back of the ticket is really just a way to restate the law, which basically says that when you enter the stadium, you're assuming the risk of participating in being a spectator of that sport.
In the River Cats' answer to Witten's complaint, the team's attorneys have denied responsibility and have alleged that Witten knew the hazards and risks involved when attending the game.
Most people don't go to a game thinking, okay, we got to be careful because, have our son here, or, you sit over here, or is there anything above me, or anything can hurt me? I mean, I went to a numerous amount of games, and I've never, thought about that.
O'Brien says it'll be up to the court to decide, in Witten's case, if a sign falling on his head was an inherent risk of the sport or the activity itself.
A baseball, that's part of the game, but a sign getting dropped on me, I had no idea at all.
I think there is a clear line between whether it's part of the activity and the sport, or is just a normal, ordinary negligence claim. Was the defendant negligent? Whatever they did to potentially cause the harm, was their conduct reasonable under the circumstances? And then you also measure the person who was harmed. You measure their conduct. Like I think the case that you're asking me about, there's certainly nothing that the patron in that situation did to cause their own harm.
I reached out to the River Cats to get their take on the incident, but was told they were unable to comment on ongoing litigation, and that they were, quote, addressing the situation and hope to come to an agreeable solution quickly. Still, Witten wonders how a $30 million stadium owned by what Forbes has called the minor league's most valuable team couldn't do more to help him, especially when the team offers some of the highest priced ticket options of any club.
River Cats reached out a little bit, but they never once were, I didn't feel like they were concerned about my health. And I just felt that there should have been more responsibility and more actions from their part to come towards me and see what they could do for me. And I didn't get any of that from them.
Since his injury, Witten's leading a much different life than the one he thought he'd be enjoying in retirement. He can no longer play softball. When he plays catch with his son, he's only able to use one hand, and even that takes a lot out of him.
I lost my independence. I retired and thought I could be able to do all these things, and now I can't. I mean, play golf, no. One arm, anything with one arm I'm good with. Two hands, no. There's no more football, no more basketball. It bothers me a lot because my son is so young and he's just getting into he's only 9, playing on travel team, made All-Stars, but I can only do so much with him because I have one hand.
It's unclear what steps the River Cats have taken to ensure something like this doesn't happen to anyone else, or if any safety mechanisms or practices have been implemented since the incident with Witten.
I think there needs to be more information put out there about people can be hurt and how you can be hurt and what the responsibilities are and what could happen. You can change your whole life. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm just glad it was me and not my son, because if he was at 9 and had the problems I had, it would be, you know, his life would be changed to where he would never enjoy what I've enjoyed.